Hello, welcome to Coull Discussions. That's Barry. I'm Chris. Today we're going to be talking about the possibility of civil wars in the West. Now, you're questioning...
Get your Confederate flags out, ladies and gentlemen.
And, well, that's exactly what it boils down to, actually, is... Last week we talked about police violence and, are police going overboard, or are they taking things into their own hands, and how we generally as a society can try to be better. Now, we did mention the shootings that have been going on because that's what spurred the whole police violence thing. When we talked about it, there had only been the two black people who were killed by police officers, the one in the seatbelt reaching for his wallet, and the one in the red shirt who was tackled on the ground by two police officers. There was the sniper attack in Dallas, and then within about 48 hours there had been like three other minor attacks that hadn't really resulted in policemen dying but being wounded.
There's been a lot of shootings of police officers throughout the United States since the two main incidences that have happened. There's been a lot of people. It seems like almost like vigilante justice.
There has been a sense of vigilante justice.
Yeah.
When there was a fellow who was choked by a police officer and ended up dying because of that.
Oh, the bigger dude with
autism
guy who was
There was two police shootings in New York shortly thereafter, and they were targeted attacks. I don't think the people were ever found. But the weird thing is that both those police officers, one was Asian and one was Hispanic. So they didn't even target white police officers. They targeted, the minority police officers, which just makes it a lot worse. But since, and then after the Dallas, within 48 hours, there was three other incidents. But since then, there's been another... we'll call it major attack on police in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, where one of the black men had died earlier.
There 5 cops who got shot in that or something like that?
5 cops, 3 dead. The guy had actually traveled to Baton Rouge to carry out this attack. So, we talked about police violence last time because it was like, you know what? It's in the news. Are police being violent?
Are they going too far? Are they overstepping their boundaries? Are they crossing the line?
Check out the previous episode. It should be on the side. Listen to it. See what we have to say. But this time, we're going to talk about something that has been brought up. Okay, when you talk around the water cooler, what do you guys talk about? Well, where I work, we're talking about this. And one of the guys is saying it's a race war. When those 5 cops got killed in Dallas and 7 others wounded, the next morning he comes in, it's like, and the race war begins. And it's just like, don't you think that's a little extreme? And he's like, no, think about what just happened. Some sniper guy shot policemen, killing 5, wounding 7, not wanting to be taken in alive, from what we understand from police recordings. And, and then we had the attack in Baton Rouge. So it's a sense of crumbling society in the States.
It's definite civil unrest, that's for sure. And it's a little more fearful because in the U.S. you can get your hands on more weapons. Excuse me, Jesus. And you can get yourself you get your hands on assault rifles and high-powered
assault
weapons.
Rifles, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you can almost arm yourself more than the police when you're going into a situation, and that's definitely something. I probably wouldn't travel to the U.S. anytime soon, and that's part of the reason. There are other reasons, of course, but that's part of the reason is because I wouldn't feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't feel like if I get caught in the crossfire and end up dead because somebody hates some white cop or purple cop or some cop for doing their job. And again, we talked about a little bit last week about the police doing their jobs and how we should do our jobs as civilians, right? And we just need to be careful because we don't need a civil war. We have other ways to We don't need to take up arms to
Right.
show that we're not happy.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, there's an election going on in the States. This is the time to be talking to your candidates, going, well, what is your side in this? What do you think needs to be done? And going, I don't like what you just said. I'm voting for the other person because they said something
I'm
better.
not a big believer myself, as you can see over the videos. I'm not a big believer in government. Definitely not.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not a big believer in violence. I don't think you should be killing other people for your beliefs, for the way that you think, or for their beliefs, or for their job, or for whatever, because that's not the way to go about it. There has to be a peaceful resolution to what's happening down.
Because what you'll find is right now, a couple of days ago, there was another black fellow who was...
He was out with his autistic... Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
He was out with he was a therapist, and he was... One of his patients got out from the institution they were in or whatever,
yeah.
and he was playing in the middle of the road, and the guy went out to get him, and the cops had to come, because the guy was in the middle of the road playing with a toy truck, and the cop shot him.
Oh.
They shot him in the leg. He was laying on the ground.
Yeah, he was laying on the ground, hands up. No way he was reaching for anything. No. They have a video of this, and he got shot in the leg 3 times by the police officer.
I think the police officer said they accidentally shot him. I think I read something about it.
Oh,
They released statement say they accidentally shot. Accidentally shot 3 times?
Once, yes.
So
I get it. And at that point in time, the police officer should have been apologizing. You accidentally shoot somebody, you holster your gun, you run the fuck over there and start administering CPR. Or, not CPR, first aid.
This is how I look at it. In a situation like that police officer, no matter how clean their history, no matter what they've done, they should be terminated. They should no longer have a job because they've shown the inability to act professional in their job. There should be no... the gray area when it comes to police officers. If you do something wrong, it should be 1 strike, you're out. No 3 strikes, unfortunately, because you have the ability to take somebody's life and get away with it.
True.
You have the ability for corruption and get away with it.
True.
You have the ability for everything, to break every law in the book and get away with it. You know what I mean?
And unfortunately, in the news, there's been a lot of incidents cropping up about police officers not following the letter of the law.
Not just with guns, but there was recently one with, in Ontario, a lady posted a picture of a cop on a cell phone, and it's like, people are mad about it and the cops, all they ever say is, well, they're extensively trained to drive. They're using, and it's like, see, this is what I mean. There is no accountability for law enforcement. Whereas all the accountability is on us. We as a citizen need to know the laws, even though they're written in a way that we can't understand them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think a review of the police, especially in the U.S., needs to be done. Obviously the way they're dealing with things. Why are you have somebody sitting in a road, a boy, an adult who has a child mentality playing with a toy? Why are you pulling your gun out?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a threat there?
No.
Maybe you do.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong because I'm not a cop.
No, okay, and it's true. Unfortunately, one of the guys I talked to, he was saying this, with all this, now with those the police shootings in Dallas, it's now they have your attention, and I immediately jumped on him. It's
who has your attention?
Now people are aware of what's going on with black people, and it's just now that black people have your attention, it's 1, that's not the way you get attention. Yeah. 2, all you're making is jumpy, trigger-happy cops.
Yeah.
Because a cop now is going to be going into every situation with a black guy, going...
with their hand on their gun.
Yeah, they're going to automatically assume he wants to kill me. And it's that's not the way you want your police officers to go into a situation. Because as soon as you have that happen, people start dying.
Just remember, they're the ones with the gun who can get away with it. That's all you have to remember, is that if you shoot them, you go to jail for a very long time.
Assuming you survive.
They shoot you,
they don't go to jail.
They get paid next week.
Yeah. Even if they're put on administrative leave, they're still getting paid. It's not... administrative leave just means they sit at a desk, get paid to push paper around.
Yeah. Am I mad about what's happening? Of course I am. Of course. Do I think it's wrong? Of course I do. But am I gonna go take up arms and start shooting cops? No, because they have families.
Are you going to take up arms and start shooting black people because they're shooting cops?
Of course not. Why would I do that? That's silly.
But it's true. But unfortunately, in the States, they do have a different type of mentality. You know.
So again, how do you can't change the mentality of people?
No. Very true. But it's mentality only comes through traumatic events. Now, traumatic could be positive traumatic or bad traumatic. I know there's a different word for positive traumatic, but I don't know what it is at the moment. So, like, these things have been happening. Like, those 5 Dallas officers, you know, one of them had just gotten married. One of them had just had a kid. You know, these families are forever scarred. And it's just...
Yeah, and so are the families of these gentlemen who got... Everybody, there's so many people out there now who are living through these traumatic experiences, and you know, I couldn't imagine if, like, my wife or one of my kids got shot by a cop because for no reason. Mm-hmm. I would be mad. Would I want to kill the cop? Well, my initial thought might be,
I can understand it. While, maybe, yeah.
But then you kind of step back and go, well, that's not sensible, you know. And it's like, but what can you do? What can we do? What can we do as a society? You know, unfortunately, because of the democracy we live in, we have to go through those channels, and we have to go through those, because what's going to happen is they're going to put in, like, some military rule or whatever it's called. What is it, martial law?
Yeah, martial law followed by fascism, which ends up being...
That's extreme, obviously. That's very extreme, but it could happen. Don't put it out...
People are already comparing one of the presidential nominees to Hitler.
I know.
You know, he's already been said, oh, this is the next Hitler. And it's just like, that's really far-reaching.
You guys realize that Hitler killed, like, millions and millions
Jews
and millions of people.
Yeah.
So to compare somebody to him is quite
extreme.
Quite the extreme stretch. Like, Hitler was a bad man.
Oh, yeah.
A very bad man. And I don't think we'll ever see a Hitler in our time. My time, again. I hope not. Because that's ridiculous. But I do think that because of how much power the government has, if it continues the way it is, it will happen. Well, they'll be like, okay, enough is enough.
That's the whole thing. It's the whole thing behind the Civil War. Is right now, everybody's angry. This is the reason why Trump is where he is because people are angry. Now, we've already seen 2 people take justice into their own hands and take people out. Now, that one guy who traveled to Baton Rouge, I understand, because that's where one of the police officers actually killed a fellow black man. Right? But the Dallas one was just senseless, especially considering it was during a Black Lives Matter...
It's all senseless
peaceful protest.
Like, it's all senseless. Why are we shooting each other? Why are cops so scared that... Is it because they know that citizens are more have more weapons than them? You know what I mean? And do people not want to give up their guns because they don't want to be put in a position where they're not as armed as these officers?
And that's the thing. Is like a conspiracy can be said is one reason why all these mass shootings are happening is because it's engineered by the government so that they can take people's guns away. And in the U.S., they fight tooth and nail about keeping
It's because they don't want to have that happen to them. I think they're scared of that. I think they should be able to have guns, but not assault rifles.
Yeah.
We've talked about
shotguns,
before.
Hunting rifles. Sure.
Yeah.
Handguns, no.
No sniper rifle. Handgun in your house, okay, I understand.
No. A hunting rifle can be turned into a sniper rifle with the right kind of scope. Yeah. So...
that's the thing, like, where do you draw the line? Like, where's the line of what you're allowed to have and what you're not allowed to have?
You know what I mean? Okay, that's a sticking point in the States, too, because it's like, people are saying, oh, we need assault rifles, we need to be able to hunt with them. Really? I don't know about that.
Yeah, what are you, annihilating the deer that you're trying to hunt?
Well, okay, if you're hunting bear, maybe, because I don't want to go bang
Yeah.
I want to just go bang, 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 bang. So if you're hunting bear, maybe, but at that point in time, you also just use larger caliber weapons.
Yeah, I don't
In my
know. You
mind.
know, I think as a society, we're always like taught to take a side of something. You know what I mean? And in this way, in this situation, I find myself going, I'm not on either side. I think you're both wrong in some way, but I think you're both right in other ways.
And I'm not going to be far off that, but I lean a little bit more towards cops.
Yeah.
Simply because, as we've gone through before, I do believe in government. I do believe in police presence and stuff like that.
I believe in police presence for the right thing.
Yeah, it comes down to that.
Don't
too.
pull me over for a broken taillight and give me a ticket. That's ridiculous.
Give you a couple bullets.
Yeah. You got a broken taillight, bang, bang, you're dead.
Yeah. What? Well, and that's the weirdest thing is like because of everything that's been going on in the States. There was one fellow here in Calgary who's like, I'm really fearful for my life whenever I'm pulled over by a policeman, and it's just like this is just taking things too far. Right, because it's like in Canada we don't shoot people. Very seldom are weapons discharged in.
I always worry myself when I'm pulled over. I'm not scared for my life, but I worry, so I say as little as possible.
Oh.
When I'm pulled over by a cop, I don't say anything because I don't want to get in trouble. I just, here's my shit.
What did I do?
That's
Yes,
it. I don't
sir.
even
No,
say
sir.
anything.
No.
I just...
And that's okay. I don't know about you, but I've been told since a young age, it's like when a policeman pulls you over, you say, yes, sir, no, sir, okay, sir. You know, he's right. You say as little as possible.
Yep, you don't say nothing because...
You know, so this fellow in Calgary, he's like, he recorded himself using his cell phone. After he got pulled off, he gave the police officer insurance and driver's license. The cop went to go run it. So he's like, he looks in the camera, it's like, I'm recording, I just gave the officer my stuff, he's coming back, and I'm just recording it for my own safety. So the officer comes back, and he's like, okay, here you go, sir, you know, you were speeding, here's your ticket.
Yeah.
And then the officer goes, so, how's she drive? And the guy's like, sorry, what? It's like, how does the car handle? You know, you have
Because it
this...
was a nice car, right? It was like a sports car?
a Dodge Journey or something like that. It wasn't a sports car. Anyways, and the officer's like, you know, this is the first one I've seen driving around, and I haven't pulled you over because you were speeding. So it's like, how does she handle? And is she a good car? And the guy's like, yeah, it's actually a really nice car. And they talked about the car for a little bit. And the guy's like, hey, no more speeding, and walked away. And the fellow who was recording it went, wow, that was kind of weird. And this is like, in Canada, policemen are hired, from what I've been able to glean in hiring processes, in a much, much different fashion than policemen in the States. Now, training is very similar, but, you know, Canadian police are still trained differently than American police. But American police happen to be, they tend to hire people that are more of an alpha status type. So people that are, I'm number one, I'm the best type thing. In Canada, we hire alpha people, but we hire the ones that aren't aggressive. I heard a story of a guy, he was a UFC person, he used to fight in the UFC, he wanted to be a policeman. He went in to the interview with police, and he went in as a UFC fighter, aggressive, I'm big, macho, strong, etc., etc. And he wasn't hired, and he found out through friends of friends that that's not what they look for. You know, they want people that can go in,
de-escalate a situation, and you'd be amazed on like if you just the way you talk to somebody.
Yep.
How it can either escalate or de-escalate a situation. You know what I mean? And I've had a few interactions with cops from being pulled over, and they've all been like civil. I'm mad because they're pulling me over for crap reasons a couple times, but there are times where I'm actually pulled over for a reason, and I'm mad because they're stopping me randomly to look at my kid's seat if it's incorrectly, and it's like, well, to me, when like that's what angers me about like it's not the police officers, it's the law. And I said this before, is like when you're stopping me at just a random point on the road for no reason, I'm not doing anything wrong, and you're just to look at something. That's where I'm going. Okay, that's like crossing the line into.
They do the same for commercial vehicles. They
Yeah.
actually have a whole division,
No,
non-police division.
the
set
DOT.
up for this. Yeah.
DOT. I've been stopped by them too.
There you go. One of the guys that I work with, he's a black fellow, and he gets pulled over by the police a lot, and he says, "Oh, it's because I'm black," and it's like,
probably 'cause
were
you
you
drive like an
speeding?
idiot, yeah.
And he's like, "Well, they can't prove it." So you were speeding. It's like he never says, yes, I was speeding. He always says, they can't prove it. And it's just like, if the police officer was behind you and going the same kilometers per hour that you were going, he would have noticed that you were speeding, and that's probably why you pulled over. Then I pointed out, it's like, you drive a red BMW sports car.
Unfortunately, that's like the car you drive. Like makes you. If
right.
you drive a Lamborghini, cops are going to look at you and go,
He
may be speeding. I'm going to watch that guy. If you're driving a family vehicle, you're less likely to get. It's just the way it is. Like
and
everybody thinks that.
I explained that to him. It's like it's the. I told him, it's like, well, okay, you own a white truck and a BMW, and he's like, which do you get pulled over more? And he's like, the BMW. But he doesn't want to see it because he automatically goes to, I'm black. That's the reason why he's playing. I just wonder,
do people pull out the race card too much? Like, I don't know, because I'm the privileged race, so.
We are that privileged race.
So, like, I've never been oppressed of anything. So I wonder, like, when is that card pulled out too quickly? And as soon as you pull it out, it's kind of like the veto, of like the trump card of any kind of conversation. This is racist. And you're like, well, okay, now I have to tread lightly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At that point in time, conversations are done.
Yeah, that police officer shot this person because he's racist. And it's like, oh, shit. Now it's like, now you got to go on the defensive. You got to kind of be politically correct. And, it's like, so was the sniper in Dallas, was he racist?
Yes.
I would call him a racist, yes.
It was even said in a video he recorded before. He wanted to kill cops.
Were these cops who shot these people racist? Probably, maybe. Probably. I would lean.
In some... Okay. The one where the guy was laying down, hands up with the autistic child? Maybe. There's a strong possibility.
I just wonder, like the situation of the seatbelt one, where the guy was reaching for his. He said he had a gun because he had to conceal a permit. I wonder if it was a white person, if the same thing would have happened.
And that's the thing. That one is really, really. I think that one's really, really difficult because because of what happened. It's like, the guy says, I'm reaching for my wallet.
I have a concealed weapon.
I have a weapon,
permit.
and I have a concealed weapon permit. And it's like, well, if a white guy had done the same, would he have been shot?
You can't jump to the no.
Possibly.
You can't just be like, no, that would never happen. You can't do that. You can't just be like, because you don't know.
No. Both me and you watched a video, a body cam of a guy, of a white guy being pulled over in a truck, and he didn't follow policeman's instruction, and he was constantly reaching behind his back, and the cop was saying, hands up, I want to see both your hands. And he just kept doing this, and it's just like, well, what do you have behind there that you're going to reach for?
Yeah.
He did it one too many times, and he got shot. And they found out it was just a little box, a plastic box, and it's just like...
I just wonder what we're supposed to do. Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, we want police officers to defend us and to be there to rescue us in times of need. But then we want them to not help us at the same time. And it's like...
Police are in a very, very dangerous time right now because they're damned if they do and damned if they don't.
Well, yeah, and we as citizens are in the same situation because we don't know the laws completely, and if we do something, we don't know we're doing it. Our natural instinct, if we're getting tackled, is to fight back, whether you're in a uniform or not. Like, your brain doesn't process that you're in a uniform, I gotta lay here. Your brain processes, you're trying to hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you back. The fight or flight. instinct. You know what I mean? Everybody has it. It goes,
Oh
everybody's...
no, it is unfortunately true, but it's one of those things of, okay, so do we just let policemen get beat up on?
Well, we can't. I think you have to take...
Yeah,
you have to take each case and look at them separately.
Yeah.
Right now, as a society, we're trying to blanket everything and be like, this is the way it should be with everything. And it's like, well,
you can't.
You can't apply each. It's like your group of friends. You know what I mean? You behave differently with each friend you're with, right? So if you're individually with friend A, you guys are complete goofs because that's what you do. If you're with B, you guys are, talking about politics or religion or science or whatever. And if you're with friend C or whatever, you know what I mean? You have to you look at each situation differently and you act accordingly. Whereas we're just going, oh, all cops are racist and they should be done this, and it's like, what?
Oh, that is one of those things. Is like, I talked to the black fellow at work, and he's like, well, are all cops racist? He says, most of them are.
Yeah, see,
and it's just like, well, that's part
so
of the
that's
problem.
That's like saying every human is racist. That's akin to saying, is every person in this world racist? There you go. Ask him that next time you see him. You know what I mean? Because like, I think at one point in everybody's life they've said something racist. I know I have. That could be taken as racist, where I make a joke about a rabbi, a priest, and a Buddha, and I make a joke.
Whereas I think it would just be funny.
I think it's funny.
At least I hope it would be funny, because if it's not, it's like, really? That's it?
Somebody makes a joke like that where somebody overhears and is like, "Oh, you're racist." And it's like, so it's very weird. It's a very unique situation, I find, that we're in right now with all these shootings and stuff like that. And you're going, how are we going to react to this? And right now we're failing miserably.
We are. Now, we said this in the last video. We'll say it again in this video. If you want change, get involved in politics. You may not like politics, but it is what runs our world right now, and until something else comes along and things are done differently, this is the rules that we have to play by.
That's right. We can't just make up our own rules. Unfortunately, again, previous videos I don't like it, but unfortunately, there's a time where you have to go. You can't just start shooting each other. You can't just start killing each other. We can't kill our way out of the situation.
Beyonce, she posted an open letter to everybody, like all people in the U.S. And she says, we have to stop shooting each other. We have to stop killing each other. If one thing you should do is talk to your legislation and get them to change the rules. Some of the rules, the laws are
broken.
Some of them are. Some of them
so are human beings.
Yeah. And broken laws and broken human beings put together doesn't make something whole.
So if we can we're never going to fix human beings, ever.
No.
We're never going to, there's always going to be those bad apples on the apple tree.
Yep.
So we have to fix the other hand, the laws and the regulations. And it doesn't mean less regulations, more regulations. We don't know the answer. But from my time in this world, I've seen a lot more restrictions and regulations and laws put in place. And it's escalated to where we are today, where people are shooting each other. So maybe we should just go backwards.
Less laws?
Less laws. Less you can get in trouble for. And maybe just the right laws. Making sure that we're using the right laws. Are these laws just here to generate revenue? Or are they here to keep people safe? 90% of the laws are to generate revenue. 10% of laws are to keep people safe. I think that's a little bit.
That's an argument for another day, I think, honestly.
It sure is.
Yes. So, tell us what you think.
We wanted to touch base on this again because we thought it was a pretty big topic. It was it's a hot button topic. There's so much happening with it.
There is, and unfortunately, since the last time we talked, there's been more incidents of
there's been more
death, and it's just like, you know what? I was hoping that, maybe what had happened was just a
one-off?
one-time thing, just a quick little retaliation, but no, it happened again. So it's like,
get your body armor out.
They sell it in the States.
Jesus Christ. Don't forget to wear that body armor while you're watching us on YouTube. Liking our Facebook page.
Yep.
The Facebook's over here, guys. Just remember that. Somewhere this way. Just head that way. You'll find Facebook.
Likes are down there.
Somewhere.
Dislikes, you can dislike us.
Yeah,
Just
whatever.
leave a comment below that telling us why.
Please.
So that way we know. And if it's important enough, we'll bring it up and have a little talk about
We'll
it.
bring it up whether it's important or not. You call me an asshole, I'm going to talk about it.
Okay.
I don't care. iTunes, guys, we're there too. Until next time.
So yeah, be safe.
Peace.